So the third race of the day in the Louis Vuitton America's Cup qualifiers, the pre-start underway, and in the entry box, Ken. Sort of time when we start to look and just see who's winning that game of cat and mouse.
Here's where he decides whether he wants to pull the cord and go for that hook. If you're Dean Barker on the Japanese, if he wants to do that big loop down and try to close the distance, or if he wants to what Duke called a gap move and try to keep as much distance between the two boats as possible and kind of clear his runway to have a better angle down to the first reach mark.
And it looks like the latter option.
It does look like the latter. Still a lot of time left, though. 22 seconds to go, but if you're Dean Barker, you still have the ability. You can loop down behind. You can do all kinds of different things right now. What you don't want to do is get pinned out up by this end. He doesn't want to get pinned out at that end and forced above the line. He thinks he's going to be okay, and it's now just time and distance.
So the start line approaching, no danger of penalties for either of these two as SoftBank Team Japan and Groupama Team France fly over the start and get straight up on the foils, moving at pace right from the word go.
That was an experienced start by Dean Barker. That was him using his experience, understanding the start box, understanding his boat, nailing the starting line, and going. I think he was going 7 knots faster over the line when they hit it. So that was very well done by Dean Barker and the Japanese crew.
So the opening reach drawing to a conclusion. Round the first mark they go, and the Japanese setting the pace, the French tucked in behind, but of course we don't have to cast our minds back all that far to remember how they reeled in the British in the opening race of the day.
Now, we saw this in the first race of the day when the French were pretty far behind after the one leg. But unlike the first day, the French performance was very consistent. They were much more consistent on their foils, and they just kept it close enough that when the other team made one mistake, and in the first race today that was BAR, they were there to pounce. So it looks like they're trying the same strategy again, and they do, again, look much more stable on the foils.
A little bit early to be gauging the flight time of these two in only the second leg of 7, but goes without saying. The more time they can spend with those holes out of the water, the better for their challenge. Japanese know have excellent boat speed, hovering around the 40-knot mark, and round gate 2 looks like a smooth maneuver from Dean Barker and his men.
Very smooth maneuver going around that mark. 40 knots going into it. I'll tell you, the French not quite as pretty, but also not crazy either. Not well off the pace as well.
So much to enjoy from the shore. Racing of the highest caliber, of course, but America's Cup Village in full swing. A whole heap of entertainment out there to keep everybody entertained and amused. The action is red hot, has been this afternoon.
Splash down by France right there, and going from 50, 60 meters to 150 in no time, just on not a perfect tack, that's for sure. But
so the Japanese, having beaten the British, lost to the Swedes, to the Kiwis, to the Americans. Boat speed good, but they've had these leads which they've surrendered in the past, and they will have to be wary.
You know they've talked about it. You know they know it. Whether they read the press or go online is probably yet to be seen, or hopefully they don't. Hopefully they're keeping to themselves and they're sorting their own stuff out. But there's no doubt that keeping the lead has been the Achilles heel of the Japanese team so far. But they look pretty solid as we speak. And in control. I mean, by not splitting at that leeward gate, the French kind of set themselves up right now to really just kind of fall in line. Now, maybe they're saying, we got to learn how to walk before we can run. We don't want to try to do too much. Japanese are in control at this stage. There's no doubt about
So it's looking like a rather different dynamic to the one from the previous race. A decent distance opening up here between the Japanese and the French, and Dean Barker is the one controlling operations. The French might just have strayed into the boundary, just on the edge of legality.
Yeah, that was very close. And again, he's doing that. He's trying to stay on the high side of the line that the Japanese are running, but at the same time, by not taking that extra jibe at the bottom gate, he's just set himself up in a way to just follow the Japanese around the race course right now. Maybe they're just working on their systems. Christian, we know that leeward gate is really hard, that extra jibe, but at that stage you got to do something, right? With us at this exact time, stretching out by the Japanese right now.
Standing by.
Let's not forget, this boat was fairly seriously damaged in the opening day of racing with the British collision. That wheel of Dean Barker's took a good old pounding, and it required plenty of hard work overnight from those on shore.
Now, we have not seen 100% fly time around the race course so far in this series. Supposedly we have heard rumors that a couple boats have done it in practice racing sessions, but we haven't seen it yet. So let's see if these guys can pull off that elusive unicorn of sailing.
Looking in good shape at the moment as they round gate 3. Both hulls well clear.
I'm rooting for it.
15 seconds.
It's just one of those moments we're keen to see across the course of the America's Cup in totality in these next few weeks. That, and potentially, given a slightly stiffer breeze than we've got today, the possibility of the 50-knot mark being broken at some point. Plenty to do here for the French, and just not quite the same clinical execution for them.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting how the tale of two races, a morning race and afternoon race. Who knows what the difference is? By the way, we always tend to try to find the fault in the team behind, but we also got to give credit to the team ahead. The Japanese are sailing flawless, and just given that start, I mean, the start was really well done by Dean Barker in order to keep that gap and just to send it. And here it is, he's just sending it from well behind. So they're going 9 knots faster, 10 knots faster when the starting line goes. That is purely experience. And for this guy, it was so far at least, it was game over right there from the start.
So much experience to call upon Dean Barker, of course. Bringing it all to bear on the Great Sound.
Yeah.
Happy mate, 10. Setting up.
Flawless performance.
Clear, mate. 3, 2, 1, go forward.
Come on, you guys, keep it out of the water. Keep it out of the water. There we go.
Well, where's the measuring stick?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, we're tough judges, and I'm not so sure.
Kick at me, mate. There's comms on the radio, Gerard.
It was as close as they've come.
What's that?
You are a stickler, Ken, we know that.
Right, okay.
Hey,
We'll be at boundary before he gets the mark.
it's all easy when you're sitting in a nice comfy chair behind a plate of glass, watching guys huff and puff around the race course.
Upwind for the last time for SoftBank Team Japan. Another Smooth operation.
Not long here, Dino.
Everything working nicely in unison, in tandem. Communication system's good. Calm presence at the helm.
It's a solid team. That's why it's been kind of shocking for everybody that they only have one win to date, but it looks like that's about to change. And they will come out of the day tied with Groupama Team France, and there's a splashdown. Groupama Team France likely will be tied with them 2-2 at the end of the day, barring a disaster, and there it goes. The 100% still stands.
Unicorn gallops over the horizon. Tail of two boats. And the French so good in that opening race against the British are now resembling a rather different outfit with these maneuvers lacking in precision.
Incredible how one race can be so different from the other, but I think that's kind of in the stage that the Groupama team's at right now. They're learning every day, every moment they're learning. I wouldn't be surprised to see them out sailing more this afternoon. It all doesn't come easy. There are some struggles to go along with their incredible couple victories so far.
So a wonderful view of SoftBank Team Japan, who are in cruise control mode at the moment. They've got this race by the scruff of the neck. They've got the French just where they want them, and Dean Barker is no doubt enjoying the ride at this point.
Very cool view of the twist of the wing and the interaction between the headsail, the very small headsail. This is the first time in the history of the America's Cup that all the headsails on these boats are identical. They're all one design. You have a choice of 3 different size jibs. This is, in essence, the medium size jib, the small sail up front. But for the first time ever, they're given a set of headsails, and that is it. You get to choose your size every day, but the actual design, profile, shape is completely one design from team to team. The top of that wing opening up. They can open up almost 30 degrees from the bottom of the wing to the top of the wing. Just amazing pieces of engineering. And one of the things that the teams can do different from boat to boat is how they control that. The wing itself, the profile itself, is identical, but how they control the flaps, how they control all the different shaping of it, they manage and they decide how to do. You see that thing pop. Traditional kind of a main sheet arrangement, unlike what we saw with Glenn Ashby. Glenn Ashby looked like he was controlling a crane earlier with a little box. Chris Draper, who's controlling the wing on this boat, is much more of a main sheet, traditional, almost a main sheet traveler type of situation.
Straight in, left hand mark, up here, down a bit. Wait, speed now, Dino. 25 seconds to lay, Dino. Yeah. Your catch. Your catch.
Pretty much a constant dialogue on board the Japanese boat as they head for gate 5 and one final downwind leg before the finish.
At this stage, you're probably a bit on cruise control. Although, you know, we've talked in the past. Can you take your foot a little bit off the pedal? I maintain in talking to these guys, you can't, because that's when you get yourself in trouble. You have to keep the hammer down. That's how these boats are sailed. You have to keep it on the foils. You have to keep it hauling. And believe it or not, that's the safest mode you can sail these boats in.
So the mindset of the helmsman at this point, for Dean Barker, he'll be imagining the French are right on his tail.
Yeah, pedal down. I mean, you don't want to look around. You got to keep your concentration because, you know, Christian, you sail in these boats a lot. You lose your concentration, things can go bad pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they are dangerous piece of equipment if you don't handle them with care. And the harder you sail them, the easier it is to sail, actually. So you gotta make sure you've got enough oil at all times, and you got to sail the boat at 100%, and that actually makes for a comfortable ride, or a reasonably comfortable ride.
I'm not sure comfortable is. That shows how warped these guys have gotten who have sailed these boats every day. For us looking at this, for anybody looking at this, they're saying comfort is not one of the words I would be using.
I don't think it's uppermost in the grinders' minds just at this moment. Probably looking forward to a little bit of comfort later on, but as the French labour really labouring up towards that gate at 16, 17 knots, the Japanese are screaming at 36 knots.
This is a bit of a thrashing. I wonder if there's something wrong with the French boat. They're only going 16, 17 knots right now up at the top of the course. So you got to wonder if they have some issues. You know, they had a 2-race day here today. There could be some fatigue side of things. But you got to give these guys credit. And we keep talking about the other boat. There was certainly a little bit of pressure on this team coming into this race. They were not living up to the performance levels, their standards, not our standards, but their standards, I guarantee you. And at least temporarily, they've put that to bed pretty well.
All right. Looking at me, mate. You're setting up pretty much straight away. Yeah, a little way, a little way.
Particularly given their pre-race billing and the time spent on the Great Sound out here in Bermuda in preparation. They had not been delivering in the opening couple of days to the extent that they were after. But this is much, much more like it.
One more jibe and through this gate, and then comes the screamer across the Great Sound to the finish line right off the beach here at the dockyard.
All right. Camber.
So the final gates and the reach to the finish. Boats peppering the boundary. Great view to be had out there. And SoftBank Team Japan in full cry.
This is going to be a big number. Something the French, it's kind of a shame in a way, because they were on such a high at the beginning of the day after that victory over Land Rover BAR, the Brits, that it's kind of a shame they have to end their day like this, because, man, that was a big victory this morning, and we can see there's still a consistency issue with the French.
They remain in the picture, though. No question about that. Faltering challenge of Land Rover BAR.
Talking about keeping our foot on the pedal. I'm looking at another screen right now. We don't see it on the TV show, but they're going 43 knots. So we're down to 39, so they've taken their foot off the pedal.
Well, they know that the tape is stretched out in front of them now, and this finishing straight is a chance for them to cruise to victory. Never won the America's Cup. Japanese challenge looks to be heading in the right direction this time around. Fabulous support, all getting to their feet to recognize a powerful run from the Japanese, dishing out a real thumping to the French. And no question about it, morale raised for Dean Barker and his crew.
Immediately, right? Immediately. That's just a page turner. You know, you got to come out and prove it again tomorrow. But this is certainly a maybe a little bit sleeping a little better tonight, and for sure for their entire project. You know, think of the family, the struggles of the families, and the shore team and all the administration. Really nice work by Dean and his team. French team have kind of taken their foot off the pedal here, kind of cruising around that mark at only 13, 14 knots. Let's see if they get up on their foils here, because
you think if they don't, there might be some underlying issue?
That would be the telltale sign. They're up on their foils. Clearly not a very pleased Frank Camas right now, but they're up on their foils going 30 knots anyway.
So experiencing the full range of emotions today, these French crew.
Yep, exactly.
Exhilaration after that opening race. And the way, not just the victory, but the manner of it against the British. And now a long, long way behind the Japanese. That's sport.
That's sport, and you know, they're up to pace, so hopefully, you know, we were clearly speculating when they were struggling, keeping the holes in the water for a pretty inordinate amount of time, a few times during this race. They seem to be up and rolling just fine, and you know, hopefully the boat's in one piece and they live to fight another day. The dockyard up ahead on the right-hand side, all the super yachts gathered, even on a Monday, on this Memorial Day, back in the United States. Hundreds of boats out here circling the race course, around the edges of the race course, watching. I mean, picturesque setting like you can't even fathom.
So the last few turns of the grinders, and the French crossing the line. Not to be this time for them. Heavy schedule for them today, featuring in 2 of the 3 races. 1 win, 1 defeat, and disappointment this time around for Frank Camas. So let's have a word with Dean Barker, who will be enjoying the victory, no doubt, on board the Japanese boat.